If you're into the American sports world, which you probably are, you've now heard of the name Caitlin Clark. And if you claim that you haven't, well, I just don't believe you. This right here is the story of Caitlin Clark and what led to the Caitlin Clark effect. Caitlin has exploded in popularity due to the game of basketball. Clark just very recently finished off her senior year of college at Iowa, where she and her teammates at Iowa were able to make the national championship game for 2 years straight. This fact and her stellar ability on offense has given a serious boost in popularity to her, but to women's basketball as a whole. Which personally, obviously, I think this is amazing for the game of basketball in general. Hey, game recognizes game, and people are going to gravitate towards generational talent, especially when it's something we've never seen before. Okay, yeah, we know she's obviously a beast now, but what about before Iowa? Let's start back at the beginning. Clark was born on January 22nd, 2002. And yeah, that is the reason why she wears the number 22. She grew up right in Iowa too, in West Des Moines. She started playing basketball at age 5. Fun fact, so did I, not that any of you care. And when she was young, she played a whole bunch of different sports like softball, volleyball, soccer, tennis, and golf. At some point, she decided to just focus on basketball though, and I'd say that's probably a pretty smart move. Basketball and sports in general are in the family, as her dad played basketball and baseball at Simpson College. She has an older brother named Blake who played football at Iowa State, and her cousin played college basketball at Creighton. Fun fact, she's also in a relationship with a man who played basketball and baseball for Iowa. He also happens to be the son of the Iowa men's basketball head coach, Fran McCaffrey. Now that basketball was her main focus, her talent and skills were growing immensely. So she joined the All-Iowa Attack, which is an AAU team, by the time she hit 6th grade. She was already playing years ahead of her actual age, so by the time high school came, she would be more than ready. She averaged over 15 points as a freshman, but things really blew up when she was a sophomore, where she of course played varsity all 4 years for Dowling Catholic High School in West Des Moines. She took that 15.3 points per game as a freshman and damn near doubled it, averaging 27.1 as a sophomore, along with 6.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.3 steals per game. So by the time she was a sophomore, she was already second in the state in scoring, all while still playing for the All-Iowa Attack in her AAU days. It's important for me to tell you that after her freshman year, she was already getting scholarship offers from D1 schools, one of those schools being Iowa and Michigan State. And that would have been pretty cool if she had went to Michigan State, I can tell you that. And she was also selected to play for Team USA's under-16 team in the FIBA tournament. That team won a gold medal with a 5-0 record where she came off the bench and averaged about 9 points per game. So already the dreams are starting to become real for Caitlin. She would only continue to get much better from this point on. Now she was on the All-Iowa soccer team too her first 2 years of high school. But again, overall, she decided that basketball was what she wanted to focus on. As during her sophomore year, she was All-State of Iowa. So her next year, her junior year, she would go on to do even bigger things. This is where she would start setting records, and this will not be the last time you hear me say that. Throughout the year, she averaged 32.6 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.3 steals per game. She was the Iowa Gatorade Player of the Year, where she set a three-pointer record with 13 in the state of Iowa. 13 made threes in one game. She also has the second highest single-game point total with 60 points in women's basketball history in the state of Iowa. That 32.6 points per game was enough to lead the state in scoring. Her senior year, she would do even better, averaging 33.4 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, with a whopping 2.7 steals per game. And she would lead the state of Iowa in scoring for the second year in a row. Her awards her senior year include the Gatorade Iowa Player of the Year, Iowa's Miss Basketball, a McDonald's All-American, and the All-Iowa Athlete of the Year. In Iowa's history, she's got the 4th most points scored in a career and the 6th most threes made. But now it was time to go to college. Given all the stats and the accolades of what Caitlin was able to do in her high school career, you wouldn't exactly be going out on a limb to say that she's going to be pretty good in college, too. When she first started playing high school ball, she was considered the #1 recruit in the class of 2020. Then by the time her senior year rolls around, she drops to the 4th best. And hey, Paige, Angel, Cameron have all been amazing for college basketball, but I still just can't wrap my head around Caitlin not being #1 in the class of 2020. Her family wanted her to go to Notre Dame, but she elected to stay close to home by one of the teams that recruited her right from the get-go at Iowa. And the Caitlin Clark effect really started by the time she started playing basketball for Iowa. It just took a couple of years for the rest of the nation to catch on. She scored 27 points in her first college game ever. Then in her second game, she has a 30-point double-double. For the year, she averaged 26.6 points per game and shot 40.6% from the three. That 26.6 would give her the most points in the country, beating out Anastasia Hayes by just 0.1. She was also 3rd best in assists per game in the country, right at 7.1. She was a 13-time Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and she unanimously won Big Ten Freshman of the Year. The years after her freshman year, she would be Big Ten Player of the Year every year. Clark would again get to play for Team USA and play in the under-19 FIBA World Team for Team USA, where she led the team to a gold medal, and she averaged a team-high 14.3 points per game. She was the MVP of Team USA, and she was on the all-tournament team. In her sophomore year, she was the first woman ever to lead in points and lead the NCAA in assists per game. So when you fast forward to present day, yeah, Caitlin's used to this, guys. But don't take it from me, let her play do the talking. And if that doesn't hype you up, if that doesn't get you excited for women's basketball and basketball as a whole and where it's leaning, I'm sorry, but you just don't like basketball then. During her senior year, she led the offensive numbers yet again. In the NCAA, she was #1 in points per game at 31.6 and also #1 in assists per game at 8.9. And she was also #1 in three-pointers made per game at 5.2, which is just an outstanding number for college. Her team in Iowa did go back to the championship for the second year in a row, but they did lose in the championship for the second year in a row, this time losing to USC. But the popularity of the game has grown tremendously, and it's going to trickle into the WNBA. And it's going to start with Caitlin Clark, but the other players that we've met along the way is really going to help the game as well. Like Angel Reese, like Cardosa, like JC Sheldon at Ohio State, who she had tremendous battles with, Cameron Brink, Aaliyah Edwards, and the list goes on. And don't think that She's a Beast starts and stops with Caitlin Clark. There's going to be many others on this She's a Beast. In a couple of years, Haley Van Lith and Paige Beckers, we're going to be wondering how they fare in the WNBA as well. No matter how you slice it, whether you like Caitlin or don't like Caitlin, she's made the game more popular and thus making it better. She's very likely going to be the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, which is April 15th, so we are coming up on it right now. There's a couple of people who are saying things like reality is going to set in with her when she plays in the WNBA. She said, yeah, it looks fantastic against a bunch of 18-year-olds, but I also don't really understand that because Clark was averaging 27 points as an 18-year-old in college. Every single rookie goes through some growing pains when they go and play professionally. So I don't really understand why I was directed at Clark and not the entire draft class. And we'll move on. I think this will be a non-story in a few months. But I think at the worst, Caitlin Clark is going to be a Sabrina Ionescu type of player. At best, she's going to be an absolute superstar. And either way, she's going to be a star, and she has forever changed the game for the better. And the WNBA season starts in the middle of May, and the NBA playoffs will also be going on, so it's going to be a big time for basketball. I'm going to be watching, especially the Indiana Fever. So let me know in the comment section below if you would be interested in following women's basketball. Her story is just beginning here, and she's going to be a great WNBA player. She's the first woman that we have featured on He's a Beast, and she's also the first college player to be featured on He's a Beast as well. And I'm honored to have Clark representing the first of both. I'm Ty from America Sports, and you'll catch me in the next one.